Cowboys Pregame Live is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit swbcmortgage.com to find a pro today.
The opportunity doesn't come around often. A chance to do something that hasn't been done in over 30 years. The Dallas Cowboys have a chance to do that today in their home stadium, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, as they look for their 11th straight home win. The last time that was done, Nate Newton was on the offensive line. As we welcome you into Cowboys Pregame Live from the Star in Frisco. Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, of course, the legend, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. Nate, it's been a long time since they've won games like this at AT&T Stadium. 10 straight, and now they welcome in the Los Angeles Rams here for the first noon kickoff of 2023. I mean, this is another great opportunity for the Cowboys to continue moving in the right direction.
Definitely, since that debacle about 2 or 3 weeks ago against the 49ers, coaches came out and got this team raring and ready to go, and I expect more today.
Yeah, I expect nothing less than the Cowboys to come out here and take care of business. But the reality is a lot of people are overlooking the Los Angeles Rams. And if people need to look into details, the Rams, all their losses have come with 7 points or less. So something you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this is a big-time game for the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams. They're both trying to go towards that mutual goal, which is to get into the playoffs, and it starts today. Can't wait to see what the Cowboys have this afternoon.
Yeah, the Cowboys at 4-2. Then you got the Rams at 3-4. Both teams very much so in need of a win. Mike McCarthy's been pretty good throughout his career after a bye week, 11-5. They did lose last year to the Green Bay Packers. What do you want to see from the Cowboys today?
I want to see more consistency on the defensive end. We saw a little bit of that against the Chargers. They were able to stop the run game. That pressure got after Herbert out there and kind of made this defense look a lot better than they have in the past couple weeks. So I want to see consistency out of the defense. And once again, out of the offense, I love to see Dak Prescott with 0 turnovers out there. We've seen it against the Chargers. That's when he plays his best ball. He was dicing that team up. Hopefully we can see more of that come this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm accompanying that with them. I need them to see them in the red zone. Okay, I need to see them in the red zone. I need them to be productive in the red zone. Right now, they're sitting at the bottom of the league. I believe they're around 26th in the league in terms of red zone productivity. They need to improve upon that. It's one thing to get the ball down there. It's another thing to finish drives.
And do it without pre-snap penalties. If we can clean up these pre-snap penalties and Dak can be Dak, that instinctive Dak that we know, we should be okay.
Overall, the Cowboys have had better luck in terms of the penalties, worse luck in terms of the red zone from last year, but they've had plenty of home sweet home feeling. That home cooking has been there all year long, and really over the last 2 years for Mike McCarthy. What's the key to winning at home like this, Barry? The fact that Mike McCarthy's been able to protect that home turf.
I think it's something that it hasn't been when you talk about the AT&T Stadium in a couple years, and that's just the fan base getting raucous out there. When you see it and you're on that football field, and it's third down and defensively, and you look in the stands and they're waving those white flags, the energy is pumping. I mean, it gets the player wanting to play that much better. So I love the energy I've seen from AT&T Stadium, and hopefully we can see more of that because it's really become a home field advantage for the Dallas Cowboys.
There's an old school saying, Kyle, juice get you loose, don't get me started. That's what you feel when you get back to the crib, and that's exactly what the Cowboys are. They are back at the crib at AT&T Stadium. The fans have a instrumental part in a role in this game, okay? They need to go out there, be loud, be proud. Momentum shifts are real things. So when you start having big plays or when you need big moments, the crowd gets in there. It's one thing to see the crowd, it's another thing to feel it. They need to feel the Cowboys fans today.
It's all about that crowd, but I tell you what, detail. He goes out and he watches the film, him and his coach, and they get those little small details that they need to work on, and that's what gives them the opportunity with his players because they buy into it.
Yeah, there's plenty to buy into with this team. I mean, 10 straight home wins already to this point. They're looking for number 11, and this is a Rams team, like Isaiah talked about, a little bit overlooked to this point in the season. But when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the inactives for the Dallas Cowboys because they've got some adjustments to be made. No Tyron Smith in the fold. What does Jerry Jones, Mike McCarthy, and this Cowboys executive group have in store for Week 8? We'll tell you right after this with more Cowboys Pregame Live.
It's hard to say that. If anything, as this system goes, and I've talked about listening to your feet, I've talked about, the first hitch, second hitch. A lot of times you get to that third hitch, that's what that means is go create. And we've put a lot into this offense, into the protections, as the way the guys, the block, the way their calls are. Sometimes you almost know where it is going to be open to scramble at times, and that's when it's, get to your third hit, you're moving up in the pocket, and if you can get to that gap, if they made them run around or they've kept them in front of you and you can escape outside to allow that to work. But I think it actually plays into the system of listening to your feet, and so yeah, I mean, I guess as you said, it's really when the 1, 2, 3 isn't there, listening to my feet and getting out of the pocket, and then not just necessarily throwing the ball away, but which I said, it's all about risk and reward, right? There's a time to do it, and there's also a time to live to play another play.
From a design standpoint, Dak, do you want to continue to see some of that as far as the design runs and being able to utilize your feet a little bit more to continue to have that rhythm within this offense?
To use the scramble or
just some more design runs within this game?
It is what it is. Whatever the coaches ask me to do, I'm up for it. And that's kind of how I've always been. But obviously, haven't been injured in the past, running the ball, that's not something that I know that we're coming in, let's put this many quarterback runs in. But situationally, down and distance, where we are on the field, there's always going to be a few of those. And when they're called, I'm excited about it. Obviously, we had one last week, just pop and go for a touchdown. But you can look in the past, and there's been a couple called throughout early in the year, but to say the numbers are going to increase, wouldn't want to give away a game plan if they are.
This segment is brought to you by Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys pregame live rolling on from the Star in Frisco as the Cowboys prepare to meet the Los Angeles Rams. Cowboys at 4-2, the Rams at 3-4. Let's take a look at the inactive list for the Dallas Cowboys. A couple big names on there this week, and it starts with Tyron Smith, the starting left tackle, unable to go. He missed portions of practice throughout the week. He was limited on Wednesday, limited on Thursday with a neck injury. Jerry Jones said earlier in the week he thought Tyron Smith would be available, and that is not the case, as Tyron Smith is out. Along with him, Trey Lance, Noah Igbinoghene and company also not there. Trey Lance is the emergency third quarterback should something happen to Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush as well. So with that being said, let's go back out to AT&T Stadium where we have Nick Eatman live on the sideline. Nick, Tyron Smith, that's the number one thing. How big of an adjustment is that for this Cowboys offensive line?
Well, I mean, obviously you're losing, your starting left tackle, so it's an adjustment, but I don't know how big of it is just because, sadly, they've had to do it so many times. I mean, they've had to learn how to win and, without Tyron Smith, play without him there. And so, you're putting in Chuma Edoga at left tackle, and he's played games here in the NFL. He's played games this season, and they've won some games with him. So, it's one of those things. Obviously, your starters are better than the backups. That's why they're starters. But the Cowboys know how to win without Tyron Smith. And, it's kind of one of those things where anytime you're dealing with neck and back injuries, it's not just a 1 week thing typically. So we'll see if this is something that lingers.
Do you expect Chuma Edoga to go back to that left tackle spot, have Tyler Smith at guard? Do you feel like Tyler Smith staying at guard is a good thing for the future of his development on that offensive line?
I do, and I also, for Tyler Smith, me personally, I like him at guard. I think his body type is better there. I think he's got the strength inside. That's kind of where I think that he should be long term. That's just my opinion. I don't think that's what everybody in the Cowboys organization feels like. I think that they think if you can get a guy that can play left tackle for many years, do that. So that's probably what's going to happen. But what I think it does signal is if they don't make that move at left guard and move him out to tackle, I think what it shows is that Tyron Smith is probably not going to be, it's not going to be a long-term thing. If they feel like it is going to be long-term, maybe that's when you see Tyler move out and then they shuffle Edoga or Bass or somebody in at guard.
So ultimately, good news, the fact that he will remain at the guard spot. If you're looking at Tyron Smith's future, but with the trade deadline coming up on Tuesday, does this maybe prompt a move from the front office, whether it's for the offensive line or maybe somewhere else for some of that depth coming up? Where do you feel like the front office will go whenever the deadline comes around?
Yeah. Well, right now, as it stands, and everything can change in 3 hours. You know, you can have, injuries, or the narrative can change, whatever, knock on wood, if you got some over there. But, I just feel like right now, I don't think the Cowboys are really looking to go make any moves to bring players in. I think if I were a betting man, I think there's a better opportunity or better chance that the Cowboys probably send a player away for picks as opposed to getting players in. I think that's probably a more likely scenario. But then again, things can change all the time.
Yes, things can certainly change. It is the NFL, right? Nick Eatman joining us here, and he's got some specialists walking behind him with a couple kickers as well. How about that?
We're right in the way. We're right in their way.
Well,
here,
we'll get you out of there.
Right.
So we'll have Nick Eatman here in a couple moments with Stephen Jones. Nick, thanks so much. When we come back, it's a homecoming for Matthew Stafford, but it's one where the Cowboys have been dominant against the former Super Bowl champion quarterback. We'll outline some of the matchup problems for this Cowboys team as they face the Rams when we come back on Cowboys Pregame Live.
By Ashley, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
If any conversations we have with coaching staff that have been along the lines of get me involved, use me as a vertical threat?
Zero, because I'm trusting. I trust Coach, and I just, like I said, trust the process. I'm not here to let Coach know, get me involved and whatnot. That's not my job. My job is to show up, take the game plan, and do it to the best of my ability and do my job.
That's a bet. But how can you help? Because we've heard CeeDee Lamb say, "Put the ball in my hands, and good things are going to happen."
Absolutely. Same things, but trust the process.
Did it feel good after Monday to be able to contribute like you were able to do in that win?
Absolutely. I think just really in general, just to get a win on Monday night, going to the bye with a win under your belt, that's what really felt good.
What kind of challenge does the mobility of Dak, if that becomes a consistency for the Cowboys offense, what kind of added challenge does that make for defense?
Man, a lot, because not only can he attack you with his arm outside the pocket, but he can also run, as we saw that past Monday night. So anytime we get in those positions, I think that's a strength for us for sure.
Welcome back to Cowboys Pregame Live with Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Matthew Stafford, of course, a Dallas product. Highland Park High School, went to Georgia, played for the Bulldogs in Georgia, started his career with the Detroit Lions, and he went to the Cowboys Stadium 4 different times. He was 1-3 in those games, including a playoff loss back in 2014. Here's his 2023 stats. Hasn't looked great in terms of touchdowns and the interceptions, nearly 2,000 yards. He's really a boom or bust player, but he is a Super Bowl champion. Barry, when you look at Matthew Stafford, what type of challenge does he bring to the table?
Well, I still believe Matt Stafford can make all the throws out there. I still think he's one of the more talented quarterbacks in the National Football League. But when you talk about this game, I don't think we'll see that Matt Stafford magic that we've used to see when it comes to Matt Stafford. I feel like this pass rush for the Dallas Cowboys will make things extremely hard for Stafford, similar to what they had last year. 5 sacks, he threw an interception as well. So I feel like this game plan will go similar to what they had last year, and we won't see much from Mr. Stafford.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that you have to be aware of with Matthew Stafford, and that's the big play. You just alluded to his ability to be able to make all the big throws. He is first in the league when it comes to big plays down the field, okay? 18 big play passes this year. However, versus man-to-man coverage, he's struggling, okay? He's only 46% completion versus man-to-man coverage, and the Dallas Cowboys play man-to-man 45% of the time.
Did I cut you off?
No, you're good.
As these gentlemen alluded to earlier, great arm talent, but what he needs is a run game. When you get a little bit older, as a quarterback, you need that run game a little bit more. But you know what? He will get hyped if he get on the streak, and he'll throw you one.
Yeah, for the most part, that's the one thing is he does have weapons to throw the football to as well. He can really rely on guys like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And I think for the most part, these are the best weapons he's had other than maybe Calvin Johnson. And, of course, we don't want to talk about that matchup a whole lot with the Cowboys. But these two guys go well with each other. They may not be the most talented receivers the Cowboys have seen here in 2023, but, Barry, they may be the best fit.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, when you look at these two, they are a dangerous duo because you got the best of both worlds. When you look at Puka Nacua, you have a big, physical, downfield threat, kind of jump ball guy that can make most defenders look small out there. And then you look at Cooper Kupp, you're looking at Mr. Consistency, Mr. Move the Chains. This guy is always where he needs to be, and he has that connection with Matt Stafford, unlike any other receiver out there. So these two guys put together are going to be a handful for the Dallas Cowboys secondary. But like I said earlier, I do not believe this Rams offensive line can handle the defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys. So I don't think Matt Stafford will be able to exploit this matchup as much as he'd like to.
Yeah, you know, coming off of the stat I just mentioned about the man-to-man coverage, I think Dallas matches up well personnel-wise, even though these two are they're a nuisance, right? Both of these guys together. The hardest thing is being able to identify where these guys are going to be because they are top of the league when it comes to pre-snap motions and shifts. 76% of the time, they're moving around in some form or fashion. So being able to identify them and be able to decipher where they're going to be at is going to be the biggest challenge for Dallas, aside from just covering them.
I think you can identify because Puka Nacua is the more physical guy. Yes. He'll get in the middle. He'll look for a little bit of physicalness. But I tell you what, the other guy, Cooper Kupp, he's a disciplined guy. He's a route running type guy. And I tell you what, if he get loose, it can get ugly.
Yeah, you see the stat below that both guys are in the top 5 in the league. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill are the only two guys above these two in terms of yards per game, and they've been fantastic. I do want to ask about the defense real quickly because overall Aaron Donald and company have been fantastic, and we'll talk about Aaron Donald a little bit more in depth on the online side of the show. But before we get off the TV side, I want to ask about how disruptive he can be on the interior of that offensive line.
Oh, he can be unbelievably disruptive. When you talk about running or passing the football, you've got to know where number 99 is at all times. You might want to double team him or at least combo block him because if you leave him on a single block, this guy can wreak havoc all over the field. But when you talk about that Rams defense, in years past, it was Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd. You had Ashawn Robinson out there as well. This year is kind of Aaron Donald or bust. So if the Cowboys offense can contain him, I think they'll have a big time day.
Yeah, I think the main thing is don't play him. Don't try to man him up. No, don't put one guy on Aaron Donald. Don't make that mistake. He's tied for the league in terms of interior defense alignment. In terms of pressures, he has 29 pressures. He's tied for first in the league. So don't do that. One thing that I do foresee, and Big Nate can talk about it, is the bear formation. I think bear when they line up over to center and both guards, that's what I think you can anticipate against the Rams today.
He can lay hands on you. He's a very physical guy. He's still talented. Don't let the 2.5 sacks fool you. This kid got a lot of pressures.
Yeah, he has 29 pressures. That's tied for the most among all defensive tackles in the NFL. By the way, Matthew Stafford, you talk about him being pressured. He's been pressured 39 times. That's the most in the NFL. So whoever gets the most pressure out of these two front sevens might be the victor. Speaking about some of that pressure, Marquise Bell is under a lot of it. We go one-on-one with the Cowboys safety who's having to switch positions and fill a much-needed role on that Dallas defense.
The mobility movement of a quarterback is very important because then the defense tend to look at you as a threat, and they doing Dak. But his ability to throw on the move is impeccable, and as you saw it last week, he's made plenty of throws on the move across his body. Shows the confidence that he has in us and himself and his ability to run.
CD, what's been your biggest advice to MG during this time? If he's frustrated, what have you been kind of telling him to keep the encouragement up?
We got a long season, and they tell me the same thing. When I was upset, it was definitely it's a long season. It's this, it's that. So just kind of being his shoulder to lean on, letting him know that I'm still in his corner regardless. And every game isn't going to be a great one, but just it all depends on how you bounce back. And I think he's a firm believer in that. And his best is still yet to come.
Was it a coincidence that you had a 100-yard game right after "Give Me the Damn Ball"?
I don't know. It might be. It might be. But definitely, give me the ball and see what happens.
It's never easy entering the NFL as an undrafted free agent. Never easy as an undrafted free agent out of the FCS level. And it's also not easy switching positions. All three have been done by Marquise Bell, the safety out of Florida A&M. He's continued to take on challenges and continue to check the boxes as his career grows in Dallas. With more on that, let's go back to AT&T Stadium and hear from Nicole Hutchison.
Well, Kyle, you and I both know that this defense has been through the ringer in terms of injuries. You have your main guy in the secondary missing the rest of the season, Trayvon Diggs, right? Then you've got your impactful player, your playmaker inside the box, Leighton Vander Esch, missing 4 to 6 weeks because of pectoral injury. So you've had a lot of young guys have to step up and play some big roles. And one guy in particular that has really stepped up, especially in Week 6, Marquise Bell. I caught up with him earlier this week to talk about his journey, his big-time game where he led the team in tackles with 7 and had a pass breakup, key instrumental in the Cowboys win over the Chargers, and caught up with him on how he looks to keep making strides in this defense.
I felt great just to go out there after, the big loss, just to, get us back on the right track before we go on that break. It was amazing.
Last year, of course, didn't play too much. This year you're playing, and already through 6 games, you're one of the top 4 tacklers. Did you expect yourself to come in and make an impact so quickly, or is that something like, hey, I was ready for this?
I wouldn't say I wasn't ready, but I wouldn't say I was. It was a new position change, so it's a lot of learning. But when you got the great support that we have, coaches, players, everybody help you out, it's kind of easy, to be successful.
Yeah, the transition seems to be seamless for you. I know, fam, you had a couple of packages with you inside the box. How much did that help you as far as this transition?
It helped a lot, but also last year I played a little bit of the linebacker as well in different packages. So they were molding me for it, I feel like, but. I love that I could be able to go out there and help the team in any way that I can.
You guys have the LA Rams. They come into AT&T Stadium, and that team has a lot of weapons. What challenge do those guys bring to you guys?
Same challenge every team has. Everybody has great athletes. Everybody has playmakers on both sides of the ball. It's a National Football League, so I think it's less of what they can do and what we need to do. We need to just lock in on, our jobs, our responsibilities, our preparation, and everything will handle itself on Sunday.
This team pretty much goes as this defense goes. Has that been a challenge every week, having to know that, hey, this unit has got to step up every game pretty much?
Nah, it's I feel like we complement each other. Offense, we have a tremendous offense, great players on both sides. So I feel like if we're lacking anywhere, either side is going to pick the other side up.
Now at this point of the season, you guys have a couple of games this stretch is going to be really difficult. What message does this defense want to send?
More so not to those teams, to ourselves. We just got to keep moving forward. With every game, we always got to there's going to be mistakes made. You just got to keep pushing forward, keep striving for what we want at the end of the year, which is that trophy.
You can catch all of First and 10 with Marquise Bell and Nicole Hutchison on DallasCowboys.com. When we come back to Marcus Ware will be honored at halftime. We'll tell you more about his Ring of Honor induction next.
And facing Matthew Stafford in an offense that has weapons like Pua and Cooper Kupp.
It's always a great challenge. Obviously, he's a Super Bowl champion. He knows how to make all the passes, all the reads, look you off, things like that. Super dynamic. The record don't show how really good they are. So we definitely got our hands full going into this Sunday.
How much do you look at how they handled other elite pass rushers like yourself and how they handle them and get an idea of what their plan might be for you?
I mean, you look at it, but everyone's different. Every game is different. I mean, I might see how they might block T.J. Watt, but they might handle me a little bit different. I mean, that's all part of the game. It's chess, adjusting throughout the game and things like that. So I just know I probably got my hands full going into Sunday.
Is that the fun part for you, just trying to make them try to figure out what you might do?
Yeah, for sure, and where I'm going to be at and how to find me. And I thought, Dan's been doing a great job of putting me inside, outside, things like that, to make it harder for them.
A lot of times we ask quarterbacks, like when they're going up against another quarterback, for you as a defensive player with Aaron Donald on the other side, like, how much first admiration do you have for what he's done and going up against a team that he's on?
Obviously Aaron Donald, is probably a lot of kids' heroes. growing up, and the things he's done in this league is just things that haven't been done. Once again, he's a Super Bowl champ, and I mean, it's just amazing what he's accomplished over the last 8-9 years or so. So, obviously, super excited. Always happy to play against him. Always keep that in the back of my
Cowboys Pregame Live was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit swbcmortgage.com to find a pro today.
Dak Prescott getting set to face the Los Angeles Rams. The Cowboys coming off the bye week, well rested, but without their offensive tackle Tyron Smith as they prepare to face the 3-4 Rams at AT&T Stadium. First time Matthew Stafford has come to AT&T Stadium since 1, winning a Super Bowl, and 2, joining the Los Angeles Rams. As we welcome you back to Cowboys Pregame Live with Barry Church, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Barry, lots of fun festivities at AT&T Stadium as always, but at halftime, one of your former teammates, DeMarcus Ware, inducted into the Ring of Honor. An ultimate goal, an ultimate honor as well, the 23rd member to do so. Tell us a little bit about your time with DeMarcus Ware and how deserving this honor is.
Well, first and foremost, I mean, much deserved when you talk about DeMarcus Ware getting put into the Ring of Honor. And like you said, I was blessed enough to be a teammate of his for 5 years. And as great as he was on the football field, he was just as good off the field. I mean, he was a Hall of Famer out there leading the franchise in sacks. But I'm telling you what, it didn't matter if you were a first-round draft pick or you were an undrafted guy out there. He put you under his wing and made sure he knew and you had the best advantage going on to make your career as best as it could be. So DeMarcus Ware, this guy, I mean, you can't say enough about this guy out there. He's the ultimate football player, the ultimate leader, and I'm so proud of the man he's become.
Yeah, it really has been awesome seeing him grow. First Ring of Honor inductee since Gil Brandt was inducted back in 2018. Of course, Ware was also enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame up in Canton, Ohio this past summer. So all the honors rolling in direction of DeMarcus Ware. But, hey, it was all coming his direction at one point, right? You knew that DeMarcus Ware was destined for that, the way that he played the game and the way that he carried himself outside the field. So from us to you, DeMarcus, congratulations and welcome to the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Barry, we're not done yet. We are done on the TV side of things on TXA 21. You can also join us right now on DallasCowboys.com. We've got 15 more minutes of added coverage your way for the Rams and the Cowboys. For Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, and our entire crew, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long. Enjoy the game, everybody. Noon kickoff on Fox.
Tony, your yards per carry are down from 5.2 last year to 3.9. How do you have to have patience? I think part of it's probably being in a new role, expanded role. They know it's coming. How much patience do you have to show while you kind of wait for those to pop?
Well, I mean, during the season, that's something that I really don't pay much attention to. It doesn't take nothing but like 1 or 2 big games, and then it'll pop right back up. But, at the moment, we're focused on winning, going out there, executing.
Have you had to show more patience, though, as you wait for the things to pop?
Yeah, just letting things come to me, not trying to force it, just being patient out there.
So how important is it to have Jeff Glasgow back in the building?
Like I just said earlier, it's important, especially I feel like it's more important for the guys up front, just his presence, him always being there reassuring guys on who they're going to, what they're blocking, how they're blocking the assignment. So just make sure everybody's on the same page.
Ahead of the season, there was a lot of talk about a commitment to the run. Why do you think that you guys have moved away from that at times?
I mean, different games, different flows, they go different ways. You come into a game with a mindset of how you want to play it, or how you want to approach it, but then the flow of the game may dictate it and make it go another way. So it's just playing football.
And just like that, Cowboys Pregame Live rolls on from the Star in Frisco. I love the magic of television. Go from the television side. You had a couple commercial breaks in there, but this is our true family here on the online side of things, because we know you join us every week before kickoff. Get you ready going into kickoff, and now we've got 15 minutes of added coverage for you here from the Star with Barry, Isaiah, Nate. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. Let's start with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard hasn't been as effective here in 2023 as he was last year. He actually hasn't even been that effective over the last 3 games. Weeks 4 through 6, just 34 carries, 106 yards, and over the season, averaging a career low 3.9 yards per carry. Barry, what is the reasoning behind Tony Pollard and the struggles so far?
I'm not so sure the right reason. When you look at it, I don't know if it's offensive game plan or whatever the case may be, but you got to get this guy the ball a lot more. I mean, 34 carries in the past 3 games just isn't enough. This guy is too explosive. He's too much of a home run hitter and brings too much to this offense to only have 34 carries. I understand sometimes the game goes a different way where you might have to throw the ball a little bit more than running the ball, but you can get him the ball in other ways besides running it. Screen passes, get him in the flat. You got to get this guy the ball. He's too important to your offense. And 34 carries, like I said, that's just not enough.
It is not enough. You franchise tag this player. You are giving him the bag for this year to go out here and be an impact player. Not only that, you gave him the bread, you went ahead and franchise tagged him, but you haven't allowed him to score a touchdown in the last 5 games. He's your second most explosive player. He's not getting the ball enough. You have to find a way to give him the rock so he can get this team rolling. He is the reason why you guys went ahead and tagged him last year, because the lightning bolt he was to this offense. Let him have the opportunity again.
Yeah, he's a lightning bolt because he has some thunder. And that thunder with Zeke is now gone. Give it to Rico Dowdle. Give him the ball. Put Tony back in that position where he can make those big plays. We didn't care last year whether it was running or whether it was passing, but as long as we was outside in the open field, give that back to Tony. Give me some more Rico Dowdle.
And for those at home that might be saying, oh, maybe Tony doesn't have it as much as he used to, he's still 7th in the NFL in terms of yards per touch. So at the same time, he's still averaging the right number whenever he gets those opportunities, but it's just less and less than what it used to be whenever he was hitting the home runs. He's one of the big play threats on this offense, and this offense is in severe need of what, gentlemen? Big plays. Wow. There's a lot of things that they're in need of, but mostly the big play is what they're looking for. Dallas ranking 21st in the NFL with only 10 plays of 25 yards or more. Isaiah, I'll start with you on this one. Former quarterback, whenever you're looking and scanning the field of play, do you see a big play coming, or is that something that needs to be schemed up in your favor?
Well, the reality is the scheme for the big play comes off of play action. And Dallas leads as one of the top teams in the league in terms of play actions. But you have to understand this about Dallas. If you don't have a running game that is going, then I don't know how you get to your big plays. You have CeeDee Lamb, who's really your big play guy, and you're not finding ways to get him the ball down the field. You also have Tony Pollard. He's your big play guy. You're not finding a way to get him the rock in his hands ever. So between the two of those, you have to find a way to push the ball down the field. Majority of the routes that are being ran on this team right now are 10 yards and under. You have to find a way to get the ball down the field.
You know, and I hate to keep coming back, but our offensive line has to play a little bit better. If our offensive line play a little bit better, it'll give Dak a chance to go through his reads a couple of times, or give Tony that chance to get outside. Big plays will come if our offensive line play together.
Yeah, the offensive line definitely has to get more solidified on there as far as pass protection. But when you look at it with this West Coast, Texas Coast, whatever you want to call it, it's getting the ball out of Dak's hands quick and letting his playmakers go out there and make plays. And I think what's happening now is you don't see that yards after catch. You don't see those guys getting the ball and being able to take a 5-yard slant 25 to 30 yards down the field. That's what I think we need to see more of from these wide receivers. Get a little bit more separation, and when you do get that separation, make big things happen when the ball's in your hand. Hopefully we'll see some of that this afternoon.
You also need time to throw, right? In order for the big plays to hit, or running room, blocking up front. All of that works out, except whenever you play a guy like Aaron Donald, gentlemen. And you're going to play Aaron Donald today. How about this? Look at what he's done throughout his career. Over 100 sacks, 247 quarterback hits, 24 fumbles forced. He's been unbelievable. Our resident defender, Barry Church, can only dream of having a defensive lineman like that in front of you. But for the most part, where does he impact his team the best?
I think where he impacts it is, and when you saw this in years past, is when he forces all that attention on him, it allows those rest of those guys to win the one-on-ones, and they were able to do that in years past. But recently, you haven't seen that. Even though guys are double-teaming, triple-teaming Aaron Donald, those guys on the outside haven't been able to win their one-on-ones. So that's why I think you see a little dip in the Rams' production out there. But overall, this guy is still a beast. When you talk about getting after the quarterback, over 100 sacks from the interior defensive line position, that is ridiculous for anybody out there. So Aaron Donald, you got to know where number 99 is at all times.
When you have a guy of that ilk, when he just walks on the field, it tilts his way, and you have to pay attention to him. They know where he's at, but like my man Church said, he doesn't have that help. For the linebackers and just normal guys, you got Jonah Williams, the other guy over there that plays defense. He's okay, but this is where Raheem Morris has been brought in so he can scheme him up in that bear look that you talked about earlier.
Yeah, and that bear look that I'm talking about, that's what I really foresee taking place in this game. And then what that is where you line up Aaron Donald right over Tyler Biadasz, which I consider probably your least capable player on this offensive front, okay? So you take him, put him over the center, and then you also isolate both guards. So you put a D tackle over a guard, put D tackle over a guard. So all the guards are taken up and the center's taken up. That doesn't allow for you to have double teams. Doesn't allow for you to have combo blocks. That means that you ensure that Aaron Donald has a one-on-one matchup against Tyler Biadasz for all 30-plus plays that are going to be dropbacks. It's something that the Dallas Cowboys have to be alert for.
Yeah, you got to be ready for it. Dak Prescott had to escape quite a bit from the Chargers' pass rush in order to make plays either extended to make a throw or even able to make a throw down the field, and it did work things out. So Dak again today, most likely going to need to use that mobility again. Also, let's flip it to the Cowboys' pass rush. It hasn't been as fruitful over these last couple weeks as it had been either early in the season and then especially last year. Isaiah, when you look at this pass rush, how do they get back to doing what they do best against the Rams' offensive line that has not been great at blocking for Matthew Stafford?
I think they have to get back to doing stunts. I think over the past few weeks they faced teams where they have had to kind of respect the run a little bit more, right? They've had to respect the abilities of the receivers, so they haven't gotten to all the stunts, right? They were more exposed in the running game in those first part of the season, so they stopped doing those stunts because those stunts leave you susceptible to big holes. So in order to negate that, they stopped doing it. Yeah. So now you have to find a way to get back to that, but still make sure that you have some gap discipline. That's something that they're going to have to figure it out. Dan Quinn, go ahead and make your guys move around a little bit and make it hard for these guys to identify where their blocking responsibilities are.
And I agree when you talk about the stunts because that creates early penetration, and that's what gets this defense going. And as far as when you're going against a Matt Stafford, he's a statue in the pocket back there. You don't have to worry about his athleticism escaping the pocket, so I believe these stunts will be great for this defensive line. And I don't think the stats really display how great this defensive line has been playing. You know, last week against or last time they went out there against the Chargers, they didn't record a sack out there, but Justin Herbert was harassed pretty much the entire afternoon. So if they can keep that pressure going, the sacks will come, but make sure the quarterback is under duress the entire afternoon, and you'll walk away with a W.
You know, it ain't often that you hear me put it on one guy, but this comes down to Parson. You starts and finish and ends it all, my friend. You have to come up big, and you have to come up big in the early versus the run and even more against the pass. And if Parsons turn it back on, the rest of the team will follow.
He still is second in the NFL in terms of pressures. He's got 38 on the season, so he's still forcing pressure, but he hasn't finished. Yeah, you got to get there. He's got to finish, right? I mean, if we didn't have time limits and the NFL didn't have the rule that we had to get off 15 minutes before, I would just ask Isaiah which one matters more, pressure or sacks. We could go all day long. We can make it happen. We'll talk about that on Talking Cowboys at some point down the line. AT&T Stadium getting ramped up for this one. Down on the sideline, we have Nick Eatman, joined by Cowboys COO Stephen Jones.
Thanks, Kyle, and I'm here with Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer here at AT&T Stadium, and man, you can get that crowd that's going nuts. Bye weeks are great. You got to get that rest, but man, it's been a while since you've been back on the field. It feels nice.
It feels like forever, but I'm with you. It feels great to be home again, too, and certainly I know this team feeds off, especially that defense, this home crowd. When they get going and defense makes big plays, they feed off of it, and you know, we're making a little run here now at home where this really is becoming a home field advantage for us. And hats off to our fans. They're outstanding.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, you know, when the stadium was first built, was about 12 years ago, you know, it was one of those places you see a lot of fans, sometimes from other teams, but your fans, Cowboys fans, what is it about this place? Is the indoors, it just like you get so loud, get so vibrant?
Well, and I think they've just figured out how loud this place can get and how big a difference it can make, you know, in terms of giving their Cowboys an advantage. Now, you know, forever we did have other teams that their fans wanted to come see this place and they'd show up, but our fans are outstanding.
All right, and we see that obviously when the Cowboys go on the road too, and even this last game against the Chargers. All right, so against the Rams, the injury report just came out a few minutes ago. Tyron Smith will not be playing at left tackle. Chuma Edoga, I assume, is at left tackle. What is that going to do for your offensive line?
Well, I know I actually had a good visit with Dak on Friday, and he has immense amount of confidence in Chuma, so I don't think it'll make too big a difference. You always hate to be missing a Hall of Fame type left tackle, but I know Chuma will step up and get the job done. This is part of our league. I say it all the time. It's a part of the business. All 32 deal with these things, and I know our guys will respond well today.
What's the one thing, offense or defense or special teams, that you think that you'd like to see improved here in the bye week? Something y'all could work on in this extra time that you expect to see different here today?
Well, in general, it's just execution. I know Dan's going to always stress what he always does, which is the play style and making plays on the ball, turn the ball over, hit the quarterback, those type of things. Obviously, offensively, as we get this line coming together, although we don't have Tyron today, is get that 7-step drop back in our game so we can get the ball down the field. Give us a chance to make some bigger plays. And, at the end of the day, that boils right down to execution. So our guys got to go out and execute offensively and hopefully make some bigger plays.
Your confidence level in Michael Gallup. I know he had a lot of targets. He's been a guy that's made big plays for you. Where do you stand with Gallup? You think he'll have a bounce back?
Feel great about him. I think we got 3 of the best receivers in the game. You take CD and Cooks and Gallup, and then Tolbert, of course, is a strong 4. I love our group, and then that tight end group's Ferguson's having a great year, and Schoonmaker's coming on every week. So, the players are there. We just got to execute and make the plays we need to make.
Matthew Stafford on the other side. I take it he's not your favorite Highland Park quarterback of all time. He's up there maybe, but not your favorite.
He's number 2
for sure. I think number 1 just walked by.
Just walked by my son. And by the way, he won more state championships than him. So I'll take that one. But no, I've got nothing but great respect for Matthew, except for today.
Okay.
When he plays the Cowboys, then I'm hoping our defense will knock him around a little bit, and we certainly need to do that because, their offense is rolling this year. He's playing well. They got cut back. They got really good players.
All right. That's Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Kyle, we'll throw it back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you very much, Nick and Steven. Back here to wrap things up. Noon kickoff on Fox. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, and Aaron Andrews on the call for this one between the Cowboys and the Rams. Let's go to keys to the game. Barry, we'll start with you. How do the Cowboys get their 5th win and continue rolling in the right direction, setting up a crucial matchup next week with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Ooh, can't look too far ahead. I can't look too far ahead.
I can. They can't.
They can.
I can.
We can. Okay, I got you. I got you. But the keys for this one is I think we got to do exactly what we did last year. You got to harass Matt Stafford out there and make him feel uncomfortable the entire game. They did a great job of that last year. 5 sacks. They were able to get the interception as well. So if you can do that in this game, I think you'll negate what Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp can do out there. And so you got to make him uncomfortable.
I think you have to go to the pass defense, right? And I think that right now Dallas has to continue what they've been doing well, and that's only giving up 177 yards per game. Okay, so being that they've only been giving up 177 yards per game, they're going against an offense that has been throwing some of the most passing yards per game. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to keep these guys under 250 yards passing. If you're able to do that, get in Matthew Stafford's face, you walk away with a victory.
I'm going to talk about what you talked about earlier, Isaiah, is we definitely have to block number 99. When they go to that barrel cover both guards, in the center, we have to be cognizant of that. And if we can leave a back end just a chip going through the middle to make them have to go around that right there, we'll be okay. Dak, be yourself, man. Play instinctively.
He's got to continue to play, like you said, instinctively, but also mobile. He talked about it this week a little bit. Whenever the media got a chance to catch up with Dak earlier in the week, he said, I feel better on the run. I feel better when I'm able to move out of the way. Yes. And Nate's been calling for that for so long up to this point, and finally you're getting that look from Dak Prescott again, or at least you had it in Week 6, going into the bye week, and now facing another West Coast team in the Los Angeles Rams. This one should be fun. As AT&T Stadium, it's got to be rocking. 10 straight home wins, looking for number 11. This is an opportunity for the Cowboys to make history and get their 5th win of the season. That's going to do it for us here for Cowboys Pregame. Live for Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans saying so long. DeMarcus Ware honored on field, both pregame and halftime. Enjoy the game, everybody. Noon kickoff on Fox. That does it for us on Cowboys Pregame Live. We'll see you for postgame coverage from the Star in Frisco.